Hey guys, today I'm here with Nano. We're going to be talking all about influencer marketing. Nano, welcome, my friend. I'm pumped to learn from you. How are you?
Chase, my man, it's a pleasure to finally be on the show. I've been following you, keeping up with all the value that you've been putting out on Twitter, dude. To be honest, I'm stoked. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, pumped for you to be here. So before we talk about influencer marketing, let's talk about what you're up to. Do you mind giving kind of a backstory, a quick high level on what you're working on?
Yeah, absolutely. Long story short, I had a DTC brand, fashion brand for 6.5 years, and I stepped away just about 2 years ago now. And now I have a digital media agency helping mostly other fashion brands, but other types of brands as well, scale online. So we have a digital media agency, and we kind of have two pillars on our business. We have the servicing kind of on retainer or performance-based model with DTC brands, but we actually also you could say own, partner, license brands with high profile influencers, artists, and kind of other A-listers, man.
I love it. That's super unique and super cool. Let's start with why influencer marketing? Why, in your mind, does influencer marketing work?
Cool. So something that I want to make super clear, when we say influencer marketing in the conversation today, it's more of partnering with influencers and creating a brand behind their name and creating essentially a Shopify store for them. It's not your typical investing into influencer marketing as a brand in order to leverage awareness or loyalty or things like that. It's more partnering with an already established entity that may not have an offer yet, right? It's how can we create an offer? How can we add value to your current already owned audience, owned, earned, right? And create an offer, create a business. So
Amazing.
it partnering with influencers, not so much hiring or purchasing placement on an influencer's page.
Super helpful. So, for example, Kylie, right, has her cosmetics company. If that was something that you did, right, like you would basically go to Kylie, almost present or kind of work on a business plan of sorts. You guys will handle kind of the website, the marketing, some of those types of things, and then the influencer is responsible for kind of just promotion. Or how does that work?
Dude, almost spot on. I'd say our goal is to find the early Kylies, right? The up and coming Kylies that are crushing it on social media. They have the momentum and they have yet to have that business. Maybe they've been hired, like you said, maybe influencer posts or brand deals and things like that, but having their own actually offer and brand is what we are looking for. If they don't have it, that's an opportunity for us. So
Amazing.
what we see is what we try to do is find that opportunity and be like, hey, we're here to provide the A to Z solution on creating a brand, mostly fashion brands, right? And we will actually provide the manufacturing, the marketing, and the fulfillment once the products are actually sold. And as you, as the influencer, you don't have to commit to anything. You actually don't even need to purchase inventory. We're going to take that heat, that risk, right? And as the influencer, all you have to do is, of course, work on the brand together. It's a team effort. But essentially, all you have to do is leverage your organic audience, and we will work together to create a strategy and marketing plan to bring your product, your brand to market, and ideally create a brand where we can take out the influencer and the brand it will stand on its own legs.
Wow, fascinating. I got a ton of questions. So my first question is, right, influencers, celebrity type people obviously are super busy. How long does it typically take to get someone on board? And then how long does it typically take once they're on board to actually go to market to launch the first product?
Wow, very good questions. Working with influencers and these high profile people with very unstructured calendars is definitely a hurdle, a little bit of a battle compared to your standard 9 to 5 DTC brand, right? But I would say it would take somewhere between 6 months to a year to really launch that brand. It also depends on the complexity of the items that we are releasing. If there are fully custom made items that need a little bit of longer production time overseas, multiple sample runs, that's going to take a little bit longer. If we feel that we could create a brand with a little bit of a more simpler product, potentially manufactured in North America, and being able to bring it to market a lot quicker, we might be looking at a 3 to 6 month turnaround. But you've seen it, shit takes time, right?
Yeah. That's interesting. So when you're picking an influencer, right? Like it's a two-way street. You're vetting and finding the right influencers, and obviously they're finding and vetting you. What has been the criteria that's allowed you to pick winners versus the times that you haven't won? Is it the total number of followers? Is it the engagement? Is it having audience on a specific channel? Like what are some of the factors that contribute to making sure this is a success for you?
So of course, engagement over followers, right? I don't think we need to get too deep into that conversation. Everyone knows engagement over followers. But a big one is age. I'd say one of the mistakes I made earlier on is that I was able to, call it merchable. I don't like using the word merch because that it's real clothing, fashion brands. I don't like using the word merch, although I like using the word merchable, right? Someone who I find is merchable, it's like, hey, this is a business opportunity here, right? So back to what I was saying a little bit about that age is that earlier in my career, when I was doing this, I had two actually instances where I partnered up with an influencer with a big reach, but the following was in between 13 and 16, right? So almost like you're not there yet to convince your parents to buy a 150 hoodie or $100 hoodie. And they just didn't have that extra, I'd say, disposable income where they're making those purchases by themselves. So I'd say that age is super key, right? Those personas that the influencers already market to or are their fans, because really we're selling to fans, right? That's what's super cool about this industry is that it's easier to create a brand on an already established audience versus working with a clothing brand that might take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years to be established to create a following, to create fans. Whereas if you already take an influencer who's been putting out for 3, 4, 5, 6 years and haven't done that ask, haven't pulled that ask, that trigger, that ammo, right? That big ask, that's when we're like, all right, dude, it's time to go for that ask, right? And we're here to help.
I love that. In terms of platform that you care about, is Instagram always seems to dominate the picture in terms of like influencer conversations. Is that where most of your kind of customers, clients, partners, is that where they have most influence? Is it Instagram? Are you seeing more things on TikTok? Does anyone have it following on YouTube? Like, where's the platform where most of these people have influence, or is it across the board because they have so much influence?
I'd say Instagram and Twitter. So Twitter is super loyal due to that one-on-one connection that you get from following someone's, day-to-day thoughts, right? Because that's what I would consider Twitter, right? Yeah. You're creating content on your day-to-day thoughts, whether it's a quick little thought or a more thought out piece of value, like a thread. I do like seeing that good following on Twitter. Although of course, Instagram does dominate, but having even a good, let's say you have 1 million on Instagram, but having that 200-300K loyal engaged audience on Twitter is super powerful. TikTok, to be honest, I haven't seen success from someone that's just TikTok. We had a drop with an influencer about a month ago. They were actually involved in those kind of YouTuber fights stuff that was going on a few months ago. And, he's got a decent following on TikTok, I believe in between 2.5 and 3 million. Huh. And on Instagram, only had 30,000 followers. And it wasn't a successful drop, right? So a lot of people may get confused of like, hey, they got a big following on TikTok. Are they merchable? They might not be yet.
Interesting. And then so say it takes 6 to 12 months to get someone on board and actually launch with them. How much do you do on the pre-side in terms of like hyping this up and kind of building in public, for lack of a better word? Like how much of it happens before where these guys are kind of giving, hints and clues and kind of telling people what's coming versus, hey, now that the product's here, going really hard on it?
Right. So it's a lot of it is pre-built hype, right? So what we actually offer the influencers is the resources and logistics, right, to create and launch a clothing brand without an investment on their end. So this is all job model made to order, right? We sell the clothes, it gets made, it gets shipped. Sorry, I lost a little bit of track of the question there. Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, no worries. The question was basically like, so you spend a lot of time obviously working with these influencers on getting the product, their consent, this, that, and the other. In terms of social, in terms of like, say I'm following you and you're the influencer, how much do I know as the follower, the loyal fan, before this thing actually drops? Like, are you telling me a week out, months out?
2 weeks. 2 weeks out, attention span, as you know, I think the official number or is like 3 seconds, right? So even if we let someone know that in about 2 weeks, we're going to have this job, right? We're going to have that email strategy, add to your calendar, SMS, all that fun stuff that you love to talk about 2 weeks before. And depending on the draw model and our resources in this situation would be actual inventory. Sometimes the lines are available for 48 hours, sometimes 4 hours, and sometimes 6 to 7 days, depending on the season and, like I said, on inventory.
So that makes sense. Do any of these people have email lists or SMS lists initially? Like, I feel like a lot of influencers that I know don't, although they probably should. Maybe the ones that you have are kind of like special group.
So I'd say I've been lucky that luckily the people I've worked with had previous hustles or previous initiatives where they were able to capture email. But you're right, half of them or most of them don't, and they're leaving a lot of potential value on the table, right? So to us, when we get, like you're talking about back again, your ideal client, roughly, right? Your ideal client that already has a few 100,000 emails, like, let's go, right? It's literally like low-hanging fruit, right?
Yep.
So I'd say both. Some people have some don't. Some have a few 100K, some have 2,000, right? And you know exactly how powerful that few 100K is, especially after about a year of working, weeding out the non-engaged and working with, call it your 150, 200 out of the 300 engaged. Then it gets really fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I know when we're talking about influencer marketing, we're talking about working with a specific influencer figurehead. With that, like, how often are you able to incorporate other influencers out into it? So say, for example, Kylie Jenner, say you work with Kylie Jenner on her brand, how likely is it for you to get Kylie's family and her friends that also have influence to collaborate and post? Is that on you? Is that asked on the influencer? Is that something you guys leverage?
I'd say organically from building relationships, right? Becoming friends with our clients, which is something that is really, really important to us. I'd say a lot of our clients and relationships are people similar to our age, young hustlers who've experienced, some success and want to take it to the next level. So I'd say organically, you call it referrals. So yeah, organically we've gone referrals over time. But no, it's not like a roll up of the whole family and like we're doing everything for like all their families and friends, although that would be pretty sweet. But I think the point here is relationships is everything, and having that referral, and hey, meet my friend Chase, he has a sick digital media agency, right? That does add up. And one point that I do like to make is that back in December, I actually went out to Miami for what I thought was a weekend. And I ended up living and working there for almost 9 months. So we rented an okay property. And from networking there for this time, I really saw that the connections really started to monetize about 6 to 8 months later, right? So I made the connections, few influencers and artists, and it took time to build that relationship, call it being internet friends, and of course in person a little bit in Miami, LA, but things just take time, right? You see that investment you made into traveling, Airbnbs, meetings, and everything like that, you kind of see it trickle through long term.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Completely agree. So we talked about, right, like they promote on the platforms that they have. They sometimes have an asset like an email list, maybe an SMS list. How much of what you do in terms of the marketing actually is running paid ads through their channels and their pages?
So I'd say it's a little bit unique in the influencer world. It's a little bit less, what's the right word? A little bit less, not pressure, but the ads will account to a little bit less revenue than other DTC companies. A little bit less, like, we don't really do as much cold targeting and interest-based targeting when it comes to these influencer jobs, because it's a little bit more on that, on fans rather than detailed targeting based like interests or activities. So I'd say email and SMS are stronger and will drive more revenue than paid ads in these situations, especially because the drop models are only available for 2 to 3 days. Therefore, it's less time for the Facebook algorithms to optimize. Yep. So yes, we're going to pull up all the low-hanging fruit, all your website visitors, you're engaged 30, 60 days on socials. We're going to pick that up with the ads, right? A few $1,000s in ad spend. but there's somewhat that debate of what if we got those conversions anyways. So we spend, of course, to invest into traffic data, pixel data, and everything, but the correlation between ad spend and the revenue coming from these drops, you'd be surprised as that we don't need to spend that much on ads.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. That's interesting. I know we're mainly talking about like fashion and apparel and kind of physical products. Have you ever done like an info product or some kind of paid community with an influencer?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we actually work with Alexis Ren. She's quite big. She has about 13 million Instagram followers.
Wow.
And she has an online workout platform called We Are Warriors. So We Are Warriors is an online workout community that empowers women to, make change in their lives. A lot of positivity and working towards, personal growth and self-help. So we run paid Facebook ads and email for that community, and where we will introduce a clothing line in the future.
Nice. Is there any big learnings or any big differences between physical products and digital communities? Do you like one over the other? Anything that stands out?
I like the digital because there's no costs. There's no cost of goods sold. So it leaves us with a little bit more room to play with, right? We're cool with getting 1-for-1 on the ads and building the business, right? What I noticed is there's a lot of education from the agency to the client, right? A lot of education. And when it comes to digital products, we had to educate our clients a bit that, hey, we can increase our ad spend, and it's okay that our ROAS comes down a little bit, right? There's no cost here on these products. So I really like the digital products. I think it's a little bit tougher on the content creation side, photo shoots wise. It's all digital. So it's a little bit, I wouldn't say tougher, it's just a little bit of a different strategy, but a lot of room for automations, workout programs, a lot of room to have fun and just be active. And what I refer to as offense. Offense, I use a word as doing shit, like just doing work. And when it comes to digital products, there's a lot of room for offense and ideas when creating these email campaigns, SMS, and paid ads.
Sweet, man. Well, dude, you answered every question I had perfectly. Do you have anything that you want to add or anything that you want to touch on that we didn't get to in terms of influencer marketing and the way that you do it, influencer marketing more in the traditional sense? Anything that we didn't cover that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'll touch about one thing, and then I have a few questions for you, bro. Come on.
All right, cool. Let's try it.
Cool. So one thing I wanted to mention was, so when I had my own DTC brand, I woke up every day and it didn't feel like work, right? And as you know, like you've had your years of your 60 to 80 hour weeks, right? And when you have a DTC brand, those 60 to 70, 80 hour weeks aren't just looking at a screen. You're packing, shipping, learning, all this stuff, right? And for so many years, weren't profitable for many years, call it the grind, your typical eating shit grind, right? The dirt, as Gary Vee would call it. And after all these years, I kind of not woke up one day, but came to a realization of this never felt like work. And why didn't it feel like work? And to me, it was that I was having fun every single day. It was fun. To me, I got to walk into an office every day and build a brand with my homies, with my best friends. I had 3 partners. And we were hitting festivals, selling our merch every weekend. We were all in, 80 hours a week, no time for family, girlfriends, nothing. It was all in, sleeping at the office, all in. And like I said, the reason why I loved it so much, or it didn't feel like work, was because it was fun. So what I'm doing now is building an agency based around fun. And how do we make work fun? How do we make work enjoyable? Sure, you could have your massages, your yoga, your free green smoothies, and all that stuff. But if you're not working on a task, on a client, on a project that's not fun, why the hell are we living? Like, what are we doing? Why are we not doing things that are fun, right? And if you could build that culture and that atmosphere of having fun, of people walking into work every day having fun, I feel is the ultimate success. If you are able to accomplish that, having 1,000 people walking into work every day having fun, getting the clients, everything else is easy. the way that we're going to have fun is by only working on fun accounts, only with fun clients. If I was like, hey, Chase, do you want to work on Tesla or do you want to work on Honda today? What
Easy.
are you going to choose?
Yeah, of course. I'm going to go with Elon.
Right? Are you going to choose like Victoria's Secret or The Gap?
Right.
Right? Are you going to choose Fear of God or Blue Notes? You know what I mean? So all our clients and the partnerships that we work, I really, really, really prioritize and make sure that what we're doing is fun, that our employees, our team are going to have fun working with this client, are going to be able to relate to these projects. If someone hits me up for lead generation for real estate, like, yeah, I've done it before, but like, that's not fun for us anymore, right? Like, we want to drive site traffic and have online sales. Like, we're not here for lead gen, auto, real estate, or any of that. Like, we're here to create relationships with cool people, fun people that are in that same, call it vibes as us, and make sure that we're having fun. So that's really kind of on the mission. I don't want to say that's my mission yet. You know, I feel like it's a bold statement when people claim their values, missions, and all that stuff. But I'd say is my strategy, what I think is a winning strategy is to have fun, and everything else will follow.
I love it, man. You're clearly passionate about what you do, and you could just see it, you can just hear it. So I appreciate you. It sounded like you had a couple questions for me. So
I had a question for you.
Yeah.
Completely random. What would you say is your biggest like mistake, or fuck up, but like technical? Like the other day, I even told you I had a job and I left smart sending on, and I sent 2 emails in one day. So we left a lot of money on the table by not sending to a few 100,000 people. Do you have any situations that you're like, fuck, like we fucked up, or like, hey, we left a lot of like value on the table?
I mean, yeah, a lot. Some of them turned into being good things, and other of them were just shitty things. One interesting one, I don't know, maybe it was 6 months ago, someone on our team had sent an email. Instead of using the from name, they accidentally used like the person's from email address as the name. So I don't know, for folks on my newsletter, right?
Like
What
the
was that?
client, like
Yeah,
the
so
client's name?
Yeah, so for a client, so say the brand was Nordstrom. Instead of sending from Nordstrom, they sent from no reply at Nordstrom or info at Nordstrom, right? That was
Okay.
the from name. So the from name was same as the from email address. And we're like, oh man, this doesn't look good. This email's not a great email. You know, we've never seen that before. This is strange. And the client was really, really unhappy. And when we looked at the data later, so many freaking people had opened the email just because if you look at your inbox, it says Chase and Nordstrom's and Macy's and Bloomingdale's. It doesn't ever say Chase at Chase Diamond or info at Nordstrom. So it stood out in the inbox, and the opens on that version, because it was an A/B test, were just like through the roof.
Wow.
And now for me, I've even adopted that for my go-to send on my weekly newsletter. It comes from Chase at chasediamond.com. So that was like a mistake that we made where the client was really upset for a period of time. And we felt really bad, but we went back and looked at the data, and now we actually do that intentionally for that client and some other clients. And for some it works, and for others, you know, there's no plus or negative. That's one. I mean,
Love that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've been kicked off tons of email platforms in the past when I didn't know what I was doing, like 7-8 years ago, just bulk uploading a list, pressing send, right, getting kicked off and getting spammed. And I think once when I was growing up, I had a Google AdSense account. I clicked my own ad, and I got banned from life from Google for AdSense on a specific email. So
I thought you were going to say it cost you like thousands on your own clicks.
No. I mean, yeah, no. So I just got banned from being able to use AdSense. So there's a lot of things, a lot of mistakes I've made, sending emails to the wrong person, you know, forgetting to check links. That shit happens. So now we build process. Yeah.
And as someone that you've had your agency for a few more years than I have, is that a forever thing? Like, you know, the mistakes on creative or links and stuff, is that a forever thing? Or would you say it's part of the learning process and it gets dialed in as you add kind of like those protective measures?
Yeah, the same mistake should not be a forever thing. Like if we accidentally sent from the from email address as a from name, and that was something we didn't want to do, if that happens again, then something was wrong with our process to not be able to prevent and mitigate that from happening. But, you know, weekly, monthly, quarterly, however frequent, there are new mistakes that we're making. And our goal is to make sure we don't make that again. You know, ask for forgiveness, do what we can, obviously. So we do now have a better QA process where we have multiple people on the team actually go through and review the preview and review the email. Does it render well? Did it load quickly? Is it hitting the inbox, or is it in the promotions? Hopefully it's not in the spam. having the client to sign off on everything, right? So we're more like, obviously at the end of the day, it's the responsibility and the blame is on us if something goes wrong. But we were trying to incorporate and have the clients give their stamp of approval too, because if we both missed it, sure, it's our fault, but it's on both of us. And how do we then collectively improve it? Do we need to look at emails a day or two sooner instead of looking at it a few hours before it goes out?
A few minutes before it goes out.
Right. How do we prevent clients from making last minute changes that then messes with the QA process? So we're not perfect, but we definitely take every time that this happens as a huge learning, and we address it to the team and we address it to the clients. So that way we're all kind of aware.
I like that. So I got two somewhat like similar stories. Again, another mistake had happened like 2 weeks ago, and it was for like a free shipping Friday. So it was Thursday. Obviously we were a little late on the client approval. So like I got approved the day before at about 4 or 5 p.m. And one of our team members went to schedule the email for the next morning. And right in Klaviyo, it says if it's past the local time, like kind of like send immediately, right? So a mistake was set up that it's sent immediately to everyone. Free shipping Friday on Thursday. Not Thursday at like 12 o'clock at night type of vibes. Like this is Thursday, 4:30, like 5, like it's not even an active time to send an email, but the email goes out. I think it went out to about 60,000, 70,000 people. And I'm looking at the Shopify dashboard and boom, site traffic up, orders coming in. Well, actually at first the code wasn't live because the code was set up to be live automatically Friday morning. So reacted quickly, told the client that, hey, like I'm always super transparent. I always own my mistakes. So I hit up the client. I'm like, hey, this email just went out. It's Thursday. We're going to act like it's a free shipping Thursday. Let's make another email to go along with what happened, like own our mistake, not only to our client, but to our fans. So Friday morning, sent out another email along the lines of like, hey, it's actually Friday today, right? It's actually free shipping Friday today. And we compared it to previous free shipping Fridays, and we had sold actually almost double than other times just by having a little bit more offense, right? Sending twice, the Thursday and the Friday. And of course, Friday morning, we excluded anyone who purchased and clicked, did our due diligence on that part. But that was another like just funny event that happens on a few mistakes.
You doubled up on the sends, which was helpful. You were authentic and real, and you owned it, and you kind of made fun of yourself, right? So you get bonus points for being relatable.
Absolutely relatable and authentic. One funny mistake I had once was, this was back in, I want to say 2014, 2015 at Team LTD, my previous brand. Everyone loved having the stickers on the car, on their trucks. That was a big thing here in Canada and northern USA, to have the big brand stickers on the trucks. Everyone loved them. So I'm like, all right, this is free, literally free marketing for us. People driving around like everywhere in cool places with our logo on their car. Like, I would pay you to do that. Like, why are we selling them? That's like, I'd pay people to do that. So did a type form, swipe up, first few hundred people, we'll ship you a free decal, people call them different ways, right? For your car. So we did the type form, address, name, and everything. And at the time, it was just like, it was the first time doing anything for us, right? Like we cut out all the individual addresses, put them on an envelope. Like I was there Saturday afternoon, one manning this. Like I actually lost like 25 hours on this project, like if not more. And the worst part of it is that I forgot to put email as one of the fields in the form. So we did all this work, all these hours, sent it all this thing, and we didn't capture what we initially wanted, which was emails at the time.
Yeah, it's so easy to forget like that one detail. Like doesn't matter how quick or how slow. So I think the thing is, have other people check your work, do your best, build system, build process. And if something happens, it happens, ask for forgiveness, give yourself forgiveness, and make sure that same thing or something similar doesn't happen again.
Exactly. Right. And that's something what I always hear about, like from my partners and peers, right? They say, okay, it fucked up, but it's your job to create those processes and those systems to avoid it and mitigate future mistakes. Right. So like you said, man, it's always a learning.
Amazing. Dude, this was fantastic. I love the answers. I love the questions that you asked. What are the best ways for people to learn about you, whether it's your website, your social channels? What are some places that I can link below for people to find you?
So I've started hustling my Twitter account. I see you guys absolutely crushing it, selling all sorts of digital products, which I've bought from you multiple times. So thank you so much for providing all that value. So I've seen you guys absolutely crush it in the DTC community space on Twitter. I'm Nano Stasiak on Twitter. If you type in Nano, it'll pop up. Starting to, document a little bit more of my life on there. But my main one is Instagram, Nano Stasiak. I'm quite active on there. I'm always responding, creating new relationships. So I'd say Instagram, Twitter, a little bit of LinkedIn. But hey, like I'm always here to chat, build new relationships, and just shoot the shit with other people who are doing some really, really cool stuff.
Sweet, man. I'll have your links below. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Hey, dude, thank you so much for having me on your show. Keep crushing it. Like, it looks like you have your stuff, your business absolutely dialed in, giving you a little bit of extra time to create and have fun, right?
Absolutely, man.